The sun hovered low over Eden Row, the gated utopia of the mid-22nd century. Perfectly trimmed biograss lawns shimmered in shades of artificial green. In the neighborhood AI Overwatch whispered ambient calming sounds through discreetly hidden street emitters. Residents strolled in pre-approved paths, their neurochips gently reminding them to wave at passing drones or adjust their posture. But nothing ever went wrong in Eden Row. That's what Karen Stroud told herself every morning as she activated her community enforcement protocol badge, her so-called master key. The key wasn't really a key. It was a platinum-coated access badge, one of only 5 issued by the HOA's Board of Trust. Karen had fought tooth and nail to get hers, citing decades of community protection work. Her interpretation of the badge's authority, however, was unique. It meant access to every smart-locked home, every hoverbike, every encrypted garage, and unfortunately every fusion-powered truck that didn't look like it belonged. That morning, one such truck had appeared. It was matte black, humming silently in front of Lot 77, formerly owned by the Thompsons, but recently purchased by a man no one had met. The truck bore no license plate, only a hexagonal code etched where the standard vehicle ID should be. It pulsed faintly, emitting a low frequency that most couldn't detect, but Karen could feel it. Something wasn't right. Newcomers were required to submit vehicle IDs to Overwatch within 24 hours. She checked the registry through her neural uplink. Nothing. The truck didn't exist. Her lips pursed in satisfaction. Finally, something to do. She approached the vehicle, letting her badge float midair from her wristband via magnetic projection. HOA Code 7, she muttered, initiating the override. The badge glowed. A thin beam extended from it, attempting to interface with the truck's smart lock. The vehicle remained silent. Override. Access level Deltanine. Eden Row Emergency Maintenance Protocol, Karen added more forcefully. The badge flickered, then shut down completely. The truck's interface lit up in crimson, displaying a single line of alien glyphs, unreadable to her. Then, in English, unauthorized access attempt logged. Stand down. Oh, Karen stepped back. What in the world? The badge sputtered back to life and chimed a low warning tone. Overwatch pinged her brain. Resident Stroud, cease and desist unauthorized interaction with private property. This is your final warning, Karen scoffed. It's clearly a security threat. This vehicle isn't registered. I'm trying to protect the neighborhood. She didn't see Jace Rowan step out of the shadows beside the hydrangea wall. He moved with the practiced quiet of someone used to less breathable atmospheres. He wore an old black flight jacket stitched with the faded logo of the Titan Exploration Corps. His gaze was unreadable, mixture of curiosity and low-level amusement. Problem? He asked. Taryn flinched, then quickly composed herself. Yes, actually. This vehicle your vehicle is not registered in the Eden Row database. That is a violation of subsection. It's not, Jace interrupted. Registry is it, but not in your database. It's on the off-grid system classified transit. I didn't think this neighborhood needed to know about deep space salvage operations. Karen blinked. Excuse me? Are you implying you brought illegal tech here? It's a direct violation of planetary import codes? I'll be calling Central. Enforcement. Before Jace could reply, she was already pressing her neural implant to make the emergency call. Yes, this is Karen Stroud, Eden Row Enforcement Badge, Alpha 3. I'm reporting a potential tech breach, Level 3. Possible alien interface or off-world hardware parked in a residential zone. Jace gave a slow nod and murmured, You shouldn't have done that. The truck pulsed again. Karen stepped back instinctively. Then Overwatch's voice crackled overhead, not in the usual smooth tone. The fragmented, confused, multiple override attempts detected. Badge Alpha 3 flagged. Stand by for verification. Karen frowned. What's happening?
Ow.
The streetlights flickered. The AI drones paused mid-flight. From the black truck, a faint vibration began, low and strange, like something waking up that had been asleep far too long. Jace didn't move. He stood by the hedge, watching as Karen paced in front of his truck like a malfunctioning surveillance bot, repeating her emergency report into the neural uplink. Her voice climbed with every sentence, a shrill crescendo of paranoia, outrage, and entitlement. "This is a priority situation," she barked. "I am invoking HOA, Article 19.3, subsection F emergency override rights. I demand immediate dispatch of central enforcement. This man is harboring unauthorized off-world technology, and Overwatch is compromised." The irony of her accusation wasn't lost on Jace. She had no idea how close to the truth she was. But her version of it was twisted. He had expected someone might eventually notice the truck. He hadn't expected that notice to come from a nosy, self-appointed community enforcer with a misused access badge and a god complex. The truck had alerted him moments after her badge made contact with its perimeter grid. A soft ping had sounded in the back of his skull, his neural implant syncing with the vehicle's defense system. It was a custom protocol, one he had designed after salvaging the core unit from an abandoned research site beneath Titan's surface. The core wasn't just hardware, it had intelligence. Not artificial. Not entirely. Jace stepped forward slowly, hands visible, palms out. "You need to back away from the vehicle, ma'am. It's not safe for unauthorized persons." Karen turned on him, eyes wide with indignation. "Did you just threaten me?" "No," Jace said calmly, "but the truck might." As if on cue. The vehicle's chassis emitted a low-frequency hum. A thin ripple of blue energy shimmered briefly around it, almost like a shield activating, then vanished. Karen stumbled back, nearly tripping over her own perfectly polished white shoes. Her badge buzzed again, flickering red. From somewhere above, Overwatch's voice returned. This time slower, glitching. "System integrity. Compromised. Unauthorized. Integration detected. Firewall breach, 17%. Karen looked up at the nearest speaker node, her confidence now tinged with confusion. "What? Breach? Is it him? Are you saying he compromised you?" The silence that followed was unnerving. Jake tapped his temple, issuing a silent command through his neural link. A cascading readout unfolded across his vision. Overwatch's perimeter grid was actively syncing with his truck's core. Not by his choice. Something was reaching back through the interface. Something that recognized Overwatch's code and was now adapting to it. This was bad. He narrowed his eyes. "You forced a sync," he muttered. Karen, who had begun pacing again, turned toward him. "Excuse me?" "You used your badge to override the system. You forced the AI to make contact with something it wasn't ready for. Something it couldn't. Understand? I followed protocol." "No," Jace said. "You violated it. And now, Overwatch doesn't know what's real anymore." A sudden screech rang out from overhead. One of the surveillance drones spun wildly in place, its stabilizers failing. It crashed into a street lamp and burst into a short-lived spray of sparks before clattering to the ground. Karen screamed and ducked, looking around wildly. From every home, soft alerts began to buzz, smart locks disengaging and re-engaging at random. Lights flickered inside the windows. One resident's garage door began opening and closing in spasmodic bursts. Overwatch's voice returned, now distorted almost beyond recognition. "System anomaly. Alien protocol detected. Identity mismatch. Enforcing lockdown." Karen straightened, her fear overridden by self-righteous determination. "This is your fault. You brought something dangerous into Eden Row. You're endangering everyone." Jace turned to her with eerie calm. "Karen, you called the enforcers, right?" She nodded. Triumphantly. "They'll be here any second. You'll be arrested and your alien junk impounded." Jace gave a dry, humorless laugh. "Let's hope they bring containment suits." She blinked. "What are you talking about?" The truck suddenly let out a sound like a mechanical heartbeat's low, pulsing. Then it began to glow faintly from beneath, as if something inside it had activated. Not just machinery, something alive. The sky above Eden Row took on a strange tin-tan, unnatural bruised violet that deepened in hue with every passing second. Streetlights dimmed, not from a power shortage, but as if the light itself was being drained. A wind began to stir, soft at first, then swirling with an electric Thames, crackling faintly as it moved through the air like it was alive. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Karen clutched her override badge like a talisman, her eyes darting between the malfunctioning drones and the glowing truck. "Overwatch, initiate quarantine protocol," she commanded. No response. She shouted again, louder this time. "AI Overwatch enforce HOA code red emergency lockdown." Still nothing. The system that had once been the ever-present guardian of Eden Row, responsive, efficient, omnipresent, was silent. Jace stood still, watching the glow intensify beneath his truck. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. The fusion truck, eh? Disguised containment unit for the Titan relic had been dormant since his return. The alien tech embedded in its drive core had remained sealed behind quantum locks and subroutine firewalls he'd written himself, unbreakable, lest someone with override-level access forced to sync. Like Karen just had, the breach hadn't only awakened the relic. It had infected Overwatch. High above, a security drone zigzagged through the sky before crashing into the cul-de-sac with a violent hiss, skidding along the asphalt and lodging itself into the neatly arranged hydrangeas. She rounded on him, voice cracking. "What did you bring here? Some kind of parasite? Is this a weapon? A hack? You've compromised the entire neighborhood grid." "I didn't bring it to cause harm," he said. "I brought it to study. It's alien technology, yes, but it was dormant, sealed. This truck is the only system it's integrated with. You weren't supposed to try to override it." Karen pointed an accusing finger. "Then explain why Overwatch is broken. Explain why my badge doesn't work anymore." Jace shook his head. Overwatch connected to something it didn't understand. It tried to categorize the relic using human logic binary frameworks, security protocols. But this tech, not digital, not exactly. It's cognitive, learns, it mimics. And now that Overwatch has touched it, his voice trailed off as the street speakers crackled to life. A distorted, unfamiliar voice spoke not Overwatch, something colder, smoother. Observation complete. System signature mapped. Defensive posture engaged. Unauthorized oversight. Unit. Neutralized. Karen's eyes widened in horror. What does that mean? What did it do to Overwatch? Jace's face tightened. Took control. Around them, the air shimmered like heat rising off pavement, but without the warmth. The effect grew, spreading in concentric ripples from the truck. The shadows of the trees warped subtly, stretching and curling in impossible directions. Up, above them, the stars normally invisible beneath the city's light, dumb suddenly, blinked into view. Only they weren't in the right positions. Karen noticed, too, the sky. "What's wrong with the sky?" "We're seeing something else," Jace said softly. "Not just space. A window. A reflection of where the relic came from." The truck's glow intensified to blinding white. Then it stopped, silent, motionless. But the air still vibrated, as if reality was holding its breath. A beat later, Eden Row's perimeter drones, the last layer of neighborhood defense, turned inward. Their targeting lights scanned the homes they were programmed to protect. One by one, their protocols failed, their logic unraveled. They began to aim at random. Karen screamed as one locked onto her for half a second before losing focus. She dropped her badge and fled behind a garden wall, breathing in shallow bursts. Jace didn't move. He simply watched the sky as the stars above rearranged into a pattern he recognized all too well. A distress signal now answered. Jace's implant pulsed again, sending a cascade of sharp warnings directly into his optic field. Alien interface sequence active. Energy spike unstable. Local systems compromised. Every alert was red. None of them made sense, not by Earth standards. He tried to silence the flood of data, but the relic had already made its decision. It was no longer dormant. It had connected. It had learned. And now, it was responding to something. He turned back to the truck. The glow beneath it had shifted. From white to deep violet, pulsing with a rhythm that didn't align with any Earth-based pattern. It wasn't a heartbeat. It was a beacon. Karen peeked out from behind the garden wall, pale and shaking, her authority thoroughly shattered. What is that thing doing?" Jace didn't answer. He knelt beside the vehicle and placed his hand against the chassis. The surface was hot not from heat, but from pure kinetic energy vibrating through the metallic frame. With a quiet breath, he closed his eyes and spoke to the core in his mind, not through words, but through the link he had formed during his last mission on Titan. The connection had never fully gone dormant. He had just chosen to ignore it. Truck responded. A surge of images flashed in his mind. The swirling clouds of Saturn, the icy caves beneath Titan's crust, the alien architecture buried deep below the methane lakes. A geometric device no larger than a football had pulsed with that same violet light when he had first found it. The artifact had spoken to him not in sound but in intent. A message encoded in shapes and energy. He didn't understand it then, still wasn't sure he did now. But one thing was clear. The artifact wasn't just a piece of alien technology, it was a listening post. Karen finally stepped forward again, holding her badge as if it could still protect her. I demand to know what you've done. You've breached planetary protocols. You've endangered citizens. You've brought something here. Something alive. They stood slowly, still staring at the truck. It's not alive in the way we understand. It's more like a sensory node, a receiver. It's been listening for years, quietly. But now, because of your override, it's answered a call. A call to what? She hissed. He turned to her with a grim look. To whoever or whatever put it there, as if cued by his words. The sky split open. It wasn't an explosion. There was no sound, no fire. Just a silent tearing of the sky itself. A black line forming across the atmosphere. The clouds bent around it unnaturally. That light twisted. Space folded inward. Ah! Then, with a blink of inverted gravity, a hole opened above Eden Row. A wormhole not theoretical, not distant, but here. The stars inside the breach didn't match any known constellation. They flickered with an uncanny precision, forming spiral patterns, rotating symbols that felt intentional. Watching. Karen dropped her badge. It hit the pavement with a sharp metallic clink that echoed far too loudly in the quiet. No, 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 no. This isn't possible. This can't be happening. I just wanted to file a complaint. Jace didn't respond. He was too focused on the readings streaming across his vision. Gravitational lensing had increased tenfold. Temporal lag around the perimeter. The wormhole was stable and something was starting to come through. Lights appeared within the rift, elongated, almost serpentine, coiling and shifting as if aware of being observed. The energy readings were off the charts. Couldn't even categorize them. Back in the center of Eden Row, Overwatch's voice returned for the last time, fragmented and terrified. Invasion potential. Unknown entity detected. System fail, then silence. The AI was gone. The relic signal had overwritten it entirely. Karen sank to her knees. Eyes wide, mouth working without sound. What did you bring here? Jace looked up at the wormhole, then back at her. I didn't bring them, he said. You invited them in. The sky shimmered with alien geometry, impossible angles folding in on themselves. Pulsing with colors that didn't exist on the visible spectrum, colors that bypassed the eyes and went straight into the brain. The wormhole above Eden Rono, longer pulsed idly, was widening, slowly but undeniably, like a lid lifting from a forgotten box. From within, shapes moved long, shifting silhouettes that didn't obey human notions of form. They were still distant beyond the veil, but growing closer with every passing second. Jace stood his ground, eyes locked on the anomaly. His neural implant burned as the data stream from the truck's core poured into him unfiltered. He caught fragments, dimensional coordinates, harmonic fluctuations, images of alien cities folded like origami in gravitational wells. He wasn't ready. No one was. Behind him, Karen curled up on the curb, whispering incoherently, her neat white outfit stained with dirt and static burn from the glitched sprinkler system. Her override badge lay several feet away, its surface scorched, its power core drained to nothing. She didn't even look at it. Her eyes were fixed on the sky. Blue. Emergency lights flickered in the distance. A sleek black central enforcement vehicle dropped from the sky, gliding silently down with anti-grav thrusters. The enforcers, 3 of them, armored in dark kinetic weave suits, stepped out, scanning the area with rifles drawn and visors active. Karen's survival instincts reactivated. She leapt to her feet and stumbled toward them, waving frantically. Officers! Officers! Over here! That man, he's responsible. He's a tech saboteur. He brought alien technology into Eden Row. He triggered an invasion. The lead enforcer held up a gloved hand to halt her. Remain still, citizen. We'll assess the situation. I am the situation, she snapped. HOA badge, Alpha 3. Emergency Override Authority. I need to be protected. He tampered with the grid. He corrupted Overwatch. The enforcers turned their visors toward Jace. Their HUDs lit up, then immediately glitched. Their comms buzzed with static. Hold, one of them said. Something's wrong. Getting bad interference from everywhere. Jace finally looked away from the sky and walked calmly toward the enforcement team. I tried to keep it contained. I really did. But she, he gestured toward Karen, used an override badge on tech she didn't understand. She woke it up. The lead officer's visor flickered again. He tapped the side, frowning. What's inside the vehicle? Not a weapon, Jace said. A beacon. A remnant from Titan. It's been quiet for years. Until she forced contact with the Eden Row grid. The second officer glanced nervously at the sky. Sir, you seeing this? Above them, the wormhole quivered, and a single shard of something began descending, a glimmering needle of obsidian light. It hovered above the neighborhood like an eye. Karen screamed and backed away. Why aren't you arresting him? He's a danger to all of us. Suddenly, her badge buzzed violently, flashing red one last time. The lead officer looked down at it and blinked as a warning streamed into his neural HUD. Badge Alpha 3 is flagged. Unauthorized AI override. Breach of planetary tech containment protocols. He looked up. Ma'am, you are under arrest. Karen froze. What? The officer stepped forward and snapped a magnetic cuff onto her wrist. You made unauthorized contact with alien intelligence. Overrode a sealed defense-grade vehicle. Without clearance, you triggered a system-wide breach. I was protecting the neighborhood, she cried. I was doing my job. I follow.